and welcome to this episode of Little Sprout Speech TV. Grab your pen and paper because today I am answering a question from one of our loyal Little Sprout Speech families, and I wanted to share it with you because it's something that has come up a lot, and I find that it might be useful for you as well if you have more than one child at home, or if your child is around other children in your home on a regular basis. So Melissa asked us, and she shared that her son Preston just turned 5. He is autistic and has ADHD. He's also nonverbal, and he communicates in other ways. So he is communicating, which is fantastic. But they go through, she says, we go through numerous meltdowns daily. And this past year's been our hardest because my youngest son recently turned 1. And from the moment he was born, Preston, her 5-year-old, has yet to actually accept him. And therefore, the question is, what advice could be offered? They're feeling very desperate, and the doctors that they've spoken with haven't been really helpful to them. So I gave mom, Melissa, some suggestions, and I wanted to share those with you here because, like I said, this can be really useful if you have a child who has had a hard time accepting a sibling, whether they're older or younger, or if you have another child who spends a lot of time in your home that, and your child doesn't really accept them, that, it could be a family member, or it could be somebody who comes over, who stays with your child and a babysitter, whatever the case may be. If there are other children around your child and your child doesn't accept them, these will be useful tips for you. So the 3 tips that I gave to Melissa were very simple. And tip number 1 was to spend time around Preston with the baby. This intentional time where they're doing joint activities. So for example, reading books is a great activity. And it might be one where Preston, let's say he's using a communication device, an iPad, or he's using pictures to communicate, using those things, he can interact with the baby. And so maybe there's a tree in the book and he has a picture of a tree and he can show him, the tree. So he may not say tree, but he can show him the picture, which is his voice right now, or find it on his device. And it's as if he were reading the book to his brother. So that's what I mean about when I say sharing the reading experience, or, shared interactions. And that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to make a mini story. So if you've been following closely, you'll know that these are tools that I use all the time. And you'll see that we have them on our website for sale because they're such useful tools in so many different situations. And what I did was I gave mom suggestions about how to do this. I said you can make a book with pictures of your family and start with Preston, the 5-year-old, when he was a baby, and, just put a picture of when he was a baby, when you turned 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So he can see the progression of himself going from baby to where he is today. And that might help him understand that his little brother will grow up at some point. It's okay that, there's a baby in the house. It's hard for any child to compete with attention of another child in the house, but we want to do what we can to help him accept his brother. So if we start with Preston when he was a baby, and have his pictures go till the age of 5, followed by, the picture of his baby now and the picture of the baby now that he's 1, he can start to make that connection and see the relationship that we're trying to show him here. And so that was tip number 2, was to start to make that mini story or that book. Tip number 3 ties into tip number 2, and it was to talk about feelings. So even though Preston's nonverbal, he still has feelings, and we still need to talk about them. And this can be incorporated into the mini story. In fact, I highly recommend that it be incorporated because that's how I write the mini stories that you'll find on our site. There's always feelings involved. So, what we want to do is tell him what he can do with his baby brother and how it might make him, mom, and daddy feel. So, we might say, it's okay to give baby a hug. And when I give baby a hug, it makes me feel happy. It makes mommy and daddy feel happy too. Or we could say, we can add, I can say hi to my baby brother. He might not say hi back or wave because he's too little, but this will make me, mommy, and daddy really happy. And so when we talk about how we feel and what's going to make us happy, you know, mommy happy, daddy happy, Preston happy. This will start to resonate with Preston over time. And then you read these books, you know, a couple times a day or a couple times a week until he starts to get the concept. And these can be really useful. So I wanted to share that with you. So let's review. Our 3 tips were to engage in joint activities. That was tip number 1, like reading books together. Tip number 2 is to make your own mini story. And tip number 3 was to include feelings. I hope this was helpful. I look forward to talking to you all again, same time, same place, right here next week. This is Hallie Balkins signing off.